Here's a principle: stellar coevolution. All stars in a system evolve together at their own rates. In stellar metamorphosis, the objects are evolving if they're bright and hot. They're evolving if they're a lot cooler and still bright, like red dwarfs. They're evolving if they're Jupiter-sized objects. They're evolving if they're Neptune-sized objects, and they're also evolving if they're Earth-sized objects. And all these objects are all hosts to other dead objects or other evolving objects. Earth is the host to the Moon. Neptune is the host to Triton. Jupiter is a host to Ganymede, Callisto, Io. Red dwarfs are the host to other objects. And the Sun is host to many objects in the solar system. And they're all individual constructs. They all evolve together at their own rates. The evolutionary timeline will have it going slower and slower as it cools and dies, which means as they evolve, they are on their own program. They're not all reliant on the Sun. They all have their own rates of evolution, meaning these have been around longer than these have been around longer than these have been around longer than those, and it's on and on and on, just like that. In establishment science, they like to put things inside of boxes to make sure the math works out. So they put all stars as shining, and those are the only objects that evolve. These are the parent objects, and everything else is just the remains, the leftover remains of these things. But that isn't necessarily true. But the big difference here is that the bright shining objects are evolving, and the objects that no longer are bright and shining and that have visible spectrums are not evolving, which is really, really weird, because they certainly are evolving. Jupiter-sized objects will lose mass to photoevaporation and to the flare events that the Sun will exhibit, losing mass for many billions of more years, eventually resembling Neptune. And Neptune will lose its outer layers too over time, and then begin exposing the little rocky ball that has been forming over many, many billions of years. And that's the whole process. But what establishment does is they put a big wall right here. They say these are the only evolving objects, and these objects are unimportant, uninteresting, and we should not study them in depth because it would be a waste of time. We already know how the planets form, but that certainly isn't true at all. They don't understand how stars evolve, and they certainly don't understand how planets form. Little do they know, it's the exact same thing. Planet formation is stellar evolution.